a very good evening. Glad you can join me on what's turned out to be quite a sunny day, hasn't it? Right, well, let's see. My screen has gone blank, or I'm talking about the phone, by the way, not that screen or whatever. Always like to just welcome a couple of people joining us. I'm going to try to keep my glasses on this time and see if I can actually read all of the comments. So let's see who's on board this evening. Hi there, Liz. We've got Liz Bond. We've got Karen. Yes, I'm not hiding, Karen. I'm definitely here. But if ever you call asking how to make a rose, I may just direct you to my YouTube channel. No, only joking. You know I'll always help. We've also got Elaine. Elaine is watching. Hi there, Elaine. Hope you're well. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up very, very soon in a Costa Coffee and spend possibly all afternoon, or should I say about 6 hours in there, as we normally do, or used to. We've got Tracy. Hi there, Tracy. Glad you could join us. And we've got Jan. Hi there. I'm sure she's meant to put good evening, your man, or she's put God evening, your man. But there we go. I'm not too sure. What are you on the wine, Jan, already? Because if you are, pass us a glass. I think I need one. I've only got water here in my Crafter's Companion mug. Right, we've got. Let's have a look. We've also got Margaret, who has joined us. Margaret Bond. I don't seem to recognise your name, Margaret. We've also got Kay. Hi there, Kay. Glad you can join us. If it is your first time here, a very warm welcome to you all. It does get a little bit crazy with some of the locals, shall we say? Jan. Let's have a look. Should sat young man. Jan, I'd give up if I was you. I know what you mean though. Ruth, hi there, Ruth. Ruth has joined us. So we've got a couple of people keep on. Elaine, sounds good. We need a Star Wars catch up. Elaine, we certainly do. There's so much happening in the Star Wars world. I'm hoping that you're catching the Bad Batch. I know. I am. I know the boys were a bit annoyed because they're off on holiday and they're going to be probably missing one on the Friday. But there we go. Anyway, Jan's back with us. We've got Julie. Hi there, Julie. Joyly? I think that was a glass of wine as opposed to water. Hi there, Julie. Glad you could join us as well. Right, I have got so much to do, and I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I'm actually not going to do any crafting at all this evening because I've already done it and pre-recorded it. Now, the reason is, do you know what? When I watch, whether it's Facebook Lives, when people are drying paint, well, do you know what, to me, I want them to get on to the next step. I'm not patient enough. So that's exactly what I've actually done. I have pre-recorded this Facebook Live, so I will be running that in, I think it's about 10 segments. Looking at my screen, there's about 10 segments. It's going to take possibly an hour and a bit. I don't expect you all to, stay for every last minute. And if you do, you deserve a gold medal. But obviously, you know that all of my Facebook Lives do go up onto YouTube afterwards. Now, what I'm going to be making in, or I say what I'm going to be making, what I've already made is this tag here. I'm going to show you it in its entirety. The only bit that I'm not going to show you how I made is the rose, because I've done that on a previous Facebook Live. If you want to head over to my YouTube channel, let me just grab that one, which is this one here. If you want to have a look at the information on my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/c/mixed media arts and crafts. All of the information and videos are there from my previous Facebook Live, so if you're interested in that, please head over there, and it's all there for you. Right, well, I did promise you a couple of weeks ago, because that's the last time I did a Facebook Live, was the fact that we are selling Prima moulds. So if you head over to the website, which is the FMM website, they do actually now do lots and lots of beautiful Prima moulds. Okay, so if you head over there, you'll see the prices, about £17.50. So they're extremely competitive with their pricing. They've got a couple of brand new moulds there as well. We've got this one just here. This is a beautiful mould, and this is the mechanical lock and keys. So if you're into that sort of thing, please head over there. But remember that if you're going to be heading over to there, you're going to be getting a 10% off if you put in the code ANTS10 into the coupon part of their website when you check out. So basically, if you were to buy a Prima redesigned mould and some light and bright air drying clay and pop in the code ANTS10, that's probably going to bring it down to roughly about £20, which will also enable you to get free delivery. Now, if you've never been over to their website and you don't know what I'm on about this ANTS10 code, I'll just quickly run this video for you.
To order from FMM, go to their website www.fmmsugarcraft.com. Once there, you'll be able to browse the many cutters and clays available. Once you've found what you're looking for, simply type in the quantity and click on the Add to Cart button. When you've finally finished shopping, click on the icon on the top right of your screen. This will take you to the checkout screen. Once at the checkout screen, type out your contact and address details. And remember to look for the gift card or discount code area, where you will type in ANTS10 for a 10% discount on the value of your shopping cart. Just remember to press the Apply button. Once applied, your discount will be shown along with the monetary value that you've saved. If the value of your order is over £20, you'll get free postage and packaging. However, if you wish, you can pay extra to have your parcel tracked at the final point in the checkout process. Just finally decide your payment method, whether it be credit card or PayPal. Happy shopping!
So it really is that nice and easy when you are shopping on the FMM website. Right, so here is the tag in question, the one I'm going to be making, or should I say have already made. So without further ado, let's get into part one of the tag. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below, and hopefully I will be able to type out any answers that need answering to the questions, if that makes sense. Right, do you know what? I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm getting all muddled up. Here's part one. So first off, we're going to make the tag. Now, I could just use the stamp directly onto the craft card, but what I really want to do is bring some texture into that as well, but not so it's overwhelming. So I'm going to actually stamp onto some rice paper. So I'm going to use some VersaFine for this one. So I'm using the Tim Holtz stamping platform here. So I'm just going to pop the magnetic bits on there and position stamp accordingly. What you notice, I've actually got some black foam here, and I always find that that works particularly well when I'm stamping onto thin paper, or like we've got here, some rice paper. So just position everything accordingly and then just confirm that to the lid like so, and then we're just going to ink up our stamp. Okay, so just pop that onto there and then just go directly onto the rice paper. So let's just pop that down there and then just press that down. You may need to go over it twice, like I say. So let's have a look at that impression. Okay, we just need to go a little bit more down there. I'm just going to just try to press that. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So just take that out of the press and then just wait for that to dry. You can force dry it if you should so wish, and then we'll come back and we'll stick that onto the sheet of card. So the rice paper with the design stamped on that is totally dry now, so I'm just going to use some decoupage, varnish and glue, in this case from Pentart. So I'm just going to paint from the back. Okay, so just flip that over. I'm just going to paint on the back of our rice paper, like so, and then just flip that round and stick that onto there, and then just go over, again using the glue because it's a varnish as well. I'm just going to go onto there. So first off, you'll notice that there's sort of like a milkiness to it that will dry pretty much clear. It's also going to then show through
the craft card, so it's not going to be totally white. So just keep on just pressing down fairly lightly when you apply the glue, and you'll see every brush stroke there is just getting a little bit darker, so the colour of the craft card is coming through. So just make sure that you've got plenty around the outside, because my intention for this one is we're actually going to stick the sheet of craft card to another sheet of craft card just to make it a little bit more substantial. So when you're done, again, just let that one dry. You can force dry it if you should so wish, and then we'll come back to that one. Right, so once that's dry, you can see there the detail of the rice paper slide coming through, but also the brownness of the craft card has also come through pretty nicely on there as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to stick a second sheet on the reverse of this. I'm just going to use some quick drying PVA style glue. So just go all the way onto the back of the tag. Just make sure you've got plenty on there so that's going to stick really nicely. Okay, and then just pop that one over the back. Okay, so that's just going to make that really nice thick tag, so it doesn't bend when it goes off the edge of the MDF tag. Okay, so that's quite substantial now. So all you need to do now is just cut around the edge. So I'm just going to grab myself a craft knife and a rule, and then I'm just going to cut around that and also add the hole in there using a leather punch. So what I normally tend to do, I actually use a cutting mat. I prefer that to a glass mat. So I always pop the ruler actually over the design itself. Okay, line that up with the edge, which is about there, and then just hold there. Because we're going through about 2 pieces of cardboard here, don't just think you'll be able to cut that in one go. It's just the first cut is quite light, and then just build that up, keep on going through. Before you know it, you've cut. Now the reason I pop the ruler over the actual image is because if I did it this way and my knife slipped when I cut, I'd actually cut into the design. So it's always best to cover up the actual design you're wanting to cut, and then if the knife does slip, it slips out and not into the design. So just go all the way around. Okay, so all the flat edges I'm just going to cut with a craft knife and a rule. Let's just pop that in there, and again just go all the way around. Okay, so now we have that, it's time to get your scissors. If you want, you can cut all those edges there with a craft knife, entirely up to you. I'm just going to use some scissors in this case. It's like a nice curve, so you should be able to get those quite easily, and just go all the way around like so. It hasn't got to be perfect, it's all about sort of mixed media. So again, just go into there. You can see I'm turning the paper or the cardboard actually around when I'm doing the cutting. There we go, and then just that circular part at the top of the tag. There we go, again just spinning the paper around. Okay, and just one more cut just in there. So there is our tag. We just need to make the hole. Now my personal preference is a leather punch, an old leather punch. So I'm just going to position that over the hole and then just squeeze that, give it a little bit of a twist, and we have the hole. That easy. So there's our tag. We're just going to distress that a little bit more with some distress inks around the edge just to tone it down a little bit more. So now I'm just going to distress the tag around the edge there just to bring some of the colour back into it. So we have vintage photo or walnut stain. I'm going to try the vintage photo to start with. Okay, if that's not dark enough, then I'm just going to go round that again with the walnut stain. So just pop those aside. In this case I do use my glass mat because you're basically picking up on the colour that is still on your glass mat every time. So just going to go around there. Okay, that's the sort of effect that we want. So you can see it's just bringing in some of that colouring just from the edge there. Just going to make it look a little bit older. Okay, so just keep on going round. You can see what I'm doing. I'm pulling the colour back off the glass mat. So I never personally go onto paper when I'm using distressing. So I always have the glass mat on the underside. The only exception is if I'm using a white card to distress and I don't want any going onto the reverse of that, then I would probably use a sheet of paper, but that's the only instance. So there's the colouring. Okay, we've got a little bit of white in the middle there, or so. Okay, like that. And I think what I am going to do, I'm just going to go round using the walnut stones. That's a slightly darker colour. Okay, I'm going to use the same pad in this instance. Okay, so I'm just going to go really dark. There we go, just round the outermost edge. So it's like a vignette of the browns coming in there. Okay, so just keep on going round there. And then our tag is aged. There we go. So I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, so you can see all of the detail is still there, and you've still got these flecks of the detail that are the rice paper still showing through. So that's exactly what I wanted, just to add that little bit more sort of like texture in the background.
So that's part one to the very long story of making this beautiful tag. But you know what, I did get carried away. This is actually the second tag I made. The original one was actually this one here. So you can see it's a little bit different in design, but the sort of layout is sort of near enough the same. I've just added a couple of extra little bits, little flecks around here, and a couple of moulded pieces here. Now, if you're enjoying the content so far of this Facebook Live, or should we say pre-record, then please feel free to do this.
So I've now swapped for my messy glass mat, because when I'm doing lots of just blacking of pieces, I just use another mat because it's easier really. So this is the messy one. Right, so what I tend to do is, if I have any clay left over from previous projects, and it doesn't matter what the colour is, I then just pop that into the moulds, okay? And the detail using the FMM clay is absolutely beautiful, even down to this one here, which is the bumblebee. Okay, and you can see all his little legs there are still absolutely perfectly intact. So what I did with this one in particular, I just popped the clay into the mould, then popped it in the freezer for about half an hour, and that's how you retain all of that fantastic detail. You know, even the crown, you can see all of the little diamonds there, or the little pearls that go up into making that crown. You can see it's absolutely phenomenal detail that you're going to be getting using the FMM clay and the freezer technique. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use some black acrylic paint, and I'm just going to paint those ones completely black, because then after we're going to do some gilding actually over the top of them. So let's just pop that aside, and we're just going to use some normal black acrylic paint. So just directly onto all of these items. So that's all my elements actually painted with the acrylic paint. I've gone over 2 layers with that, so it's a real nice black. Now we're going to gild that using some paints from Cadence, and I'll show you how I build up that beautiful effect over the top of the black. But as you can see underneath, yeah, this is why I have a different mat for doing all the blacking out and also the gilding, so it saves my other mat, so I can just quickly swap it out and then change over. But I'm just going to quickly clean this one up so we can do a little bit of gilding. Now where it comes to gilding, I love these paints from Cadence. So there's 3 colours that I use, and that's the antique gold, the antique copper and the antique silver. So all of these, when you combine them, they give the most phenomenal effect, and they'll turn anything into sort of like a real beautiful metallic finish. Now I have used gilding waxes in the past, but you know, sometimes if they're on your finger, you maybe overload your finger and it all goes a little bit pear-shaped. But I'm going to show you how to use these paints. You could also be using things like Treasure Gold as well, which is also a paint, but I'm going to be showing you how to use the Cadence colours on top of the clay elements that we painted black earlier. So we're in nice and close to this part so you can see all of the detail. So the first colour I'm going to apply is the Antique Gold. Okay, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of that. So much so that we're probably actually just going to take it out of the lid a little bit there. Okay, and then just pop that onto the mat and then just start to brush over. Okay, so you can see how little paint you actually need. Okay, and that's what it is. It's knowing how much paint to load on your brush. It's best to go under the amount than over. So I'm just going to add a little bit onto the mat now, just so you can see. Okay, so probably that much there. And by the way, one of these squares is, I do believe, 1 centimetre wide. Let me just confirm that for you. Yep, there we go, 1 centimetre. Okay, so you can see how little we are going to need. So let's just pop that onto there, load your brush up, and just wipe it over. And then just very, very lightly just start to build up that colour. Okay, so again, just onto the brush, and it's light strokes. I haven't got a brilliant brush either. It's one that I just used for the gilding technique. So just load up a little bit of the colour and then just go on. So this is the first colour. This is the Antique Gold we're going to go with first. Okay, so already you can see how we have transformed just that. Let me bring in the other one so you can have a direct comparison. So that's the look you can achieve really, really quickly. So I'm just going to build up a little bit more of that colour onto there and go into some of the nooks and the crannies. Okay, and don't forget the side elements as well. Really, really important not to forget those, especially if your project is going to be viewed from sort of like every possible angle conceivable. Okay, so I'm just going to go and use the Antique Gold on all of the clay elements that we painted black, and then I'll show you the next step, which is the silver, the Antique Silver. So this is the Antique Gold we're using at the moment, and then I'll be back with the Antique Silver.
So that's how easy it is to do the gilding, and believe me, you know, if you've never ever used gilding paints before, seriously have a go at them, whether it be Treasure Gold, whether it be Cadence, maybe you've just got some metallic paints, but believe me, you are really going to see how easy it is to just build up that particular technique. Now on my website page here, this is Mixed Media Arts and Crafts, because in the previous part of the video I did say to you about the video which was, let me just have a look for it for you, which is, well, it's quite low down. Here we go, it's this one here, which is actually making or putting your clay into the freezer. It does work extremely well. So if you've never ever tried that technique before, please do give it a go. Right, so now we're on to the next part of our epic journey into the tag making. Well, we would be if I click the right button. Let me try this one.
So it's the Antique Silver that we're going to be using this time round. So again, we're going to pop a little bit on the mat, but what I am going to do, because there's a left and a right of this particular one, I'm just going to leave this one, okay, pop it aside at the moment so we can see the difference that the other two colours make on this. So let's just pop that aside for the moment. So again, it's just a little dot of the paint. There we go, you can just about see it, nearly off screen. So I've cleaned the brush, okay, and then we're just going to go into that. And again, we're not going to go over the whole lot, okay, so it's just specific areas that possibly weren't touched with the gold gilding paint. Okay, so let's just sweep that round. Okay, into there. Remember to go round the edges. Okay, as well. So it's just a really light dusting. So no, don't overload your brush. That is the most important thing. Never ever overload that brush. So just keep on going into all those little nooks and crannies that possibly the gold didn't touch. And there we go. So that's the colouring with the silver. Let me just bring in our original one. Okay, so you can see all of a sudden you're just getting that little bit of a difference now. Okay, where the two colours are now combining. It just gives that little bit more of a shimmer. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pop this one, which has only got the one colour aside again, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to colour the rest of the elements that we gilded with the gold. So I've now cleaned my brush. I'm just going to add a little dab of the antique copper onto our glass mat. So again, just a little bit like that. Okay, I've cleaned the brush, dried it. That's really important, is to actually make sure that your brush is dry. So then we're just going to grab a little bit of the paint there, and again just take a majority of it off. And I'm just going to go in, and we're just going to go into some of those little nooks and crannies where neither the silver or the gold has actually taken to the black. So just make sure you go around the sides as well, so try not to miss anything. Obviously you want a little bit of the black showing through, which you're going to get anyway using the dry brush technique. So again, just don't overload that brush. So just go in there, and it's the finer touches that just add up to the effect. Okay, so maybe you just want to go over the area a couple of times just to build up the paint effect. Okay, so there we have this one. So now it's got all three colours on. So I'm just going to bring in this one as a comparison. So that is the difference. So that's like, to me, that's quite a nice metallic-y effect. This one is as well, okay, but this one has just got the edge, I believe, having all three colours. So just taking a closer look at those side by side. Okay, I think it's worth the effort going for the three colours, which is this side, as opposed to just the one. But it's entirely up to you, the sort of look you want to go. I think just the gold on its own is probably a little bit too sort of like brassy, where adding all of the colours just dulls it down a little bit. So I'm going to go now and do the rest of the elements using the copper gilding paint.
So you can see it really does make a difference when you actually just use gold on its own, which is this one here. This is just gold elements on this particular moulding here, and this one, which is the one that was actually made on the pre-record, that is all three colours. And you know, putting them side by side, let me just pop them side by side of that, you can see quite easily, I personally like this one the most for having those three colours. It just blends them in really nicely. Right, so we are getting through this Facebook live, I'd say live stroke pre-record, whatever you want to call it, but we're getting through there. So there's a couple of people who have joined us since I spoke live last time. So we've got Claire, who has joined us. We have also got Sarah, great, you could join us there as well, Sarah Tench, and we've got Louisa sharp as well. And of course we have the one and the only, the lady I wave to whenever I look out of my window and move south, and that is Kath. So a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us. Now, if you have just joined us, you're thinking, how on earth is he demonstrating here and typing replies? Well, the reason is this is pre-recorded. Well, this part's not, but the actual video elements are. So talking of the video elements, let's go on to our next part. And again, if I press the right button, then we might get there. I'll get used to this by the end of the live, I'm sure. So this is the rice paper that I'm going to be using in this particular one. And this one is from the ITD collection. They're a Polish company, I believe. So first of all, I'm just going to have a look on there, see which way round I want it. I think I'm going to go for the darker colours at the back, just there. Now, normally what you would do with rice paper is to get a damp brush and paint all the way round. Because I don't really need to do that technique, I am actually going to just cut it. Okay, so I'm just going to grab myself a pencil and just make sure that I've got enough space on this side, and I'm just going to just roughly just draw around, okay, my rice paper like that. So I've just got enough space on there, because I don't need that feathered look that you would normally get if you were using the damp brush technique. I don't need that because it would go over the edge of the tag. So just quickly just cut that one out, okay, like so, and then we're just going to glue that one to the MDF tag. Now, depending what type of look you actually want, you may want it to be even darker than that. So what I'd recommend is you paint a dark colour brown on top of that. I'm going to leave that one as, because that's the sort of like look I want. I want a little bit of that detail to actually come through. So just popping that aside one moment, I'm just going to use our decoupage glue and varnish, again from Pentar, the same one we used earlier for the smaller tag, and I'm just going to go over my entire tag. Now you will notice that I've got a non-stick mat over the top of my glass mat, because this stuff can be a little bit tricky sometimes to actually get off your glass mat. So that's my personal preference, is to put a little mat down. Okay, so just give that a pretty good coat, okay, especially on the edges, because if anywhere it's going to lift, it's going to be the edges. Just make sure you've got plenty round all those edges there. Okay, obviously some in the middle. When you're happy that you've got a good coating, then quite simply then just pop your rice paper into position. Make sure, because we've got that white edge just down there, so I'm just making sure that that white edge doesn't show in our design, and then just smooth that down. Let's just have a quick look to make sure. Okay, just going to pull that up and just drag it over this way a little bit. Okay, like so. Let's just have another look. Turn around so you can see, yep, I'm clear and good to go. So using the same paint again, we're just going to go over the top of that, and that's just going to really help that stick into position. So I'm just going to go over that. Again, you're going to get that milky type of effect where the glue is going over the rice paper. Don't worry about that, because once that's dry, the colours will start to show back through again. Like with the undercoat of the glue, make sure you do go around the edges there. Okay, so you really want that rice paper to stick down. Okay, so just keep on going all the way until you've covered everything with the decoupage glue. So just keep on, and also this will smooth that rice paper down as well when you're going. Okay, so there we go. So make sure you haven't got any sort of like large blobs of that glue showing.
also is the time to make sure you've got no air bubbles in your rice paper. And what I tend to do, I go then in the opposite direction, and I'm applying a little bit of pressure here just to make sure that that rice paper is sitting nicely on the MDF mat. Let that one dry. You can force dry it with a heat tool, and then what we'll do is then come back to it and we'll cut off those little bits around the edge there just to neaten everything up.
So you can see how easy it is to use rice paper. And I was watching a Facebook Live a little bit earlier today, which was actually a very good friend of mine, Jo Rowe. If you've never ever watched any of her Facebook Lives, I really do recommend that you go and have a look, because she has some wonderful techniques. She's also an ambassador for a rice paper company as well. Right, so that's that stage down. We're on to the next step now. And the next step is all about, I do believe, adding some of the darkness around the edges of the tag.
So whilst the large tag is drying, we're just going to concentrate on the small tag here. So here are the three elements that we've got. We've got this on like the laurel wreath there, then we have a little bumblebee, and we have the crown. So I'm just going to place those in a line like so. I'm just going to glue all those into position. Now where it comes to air drying clay, okay, it's quite simple. You just need a PVA type glue to actually stick that. Now if you do have any paint that's spilt out underneath, then what I would recommend is that you just scrape some of that back. It's just so the PVA glue has got something to key to. Okay, so just scrape some of that black off. Okay, and then you'll be good to go. There's going to be enough on there to then make sure that sticks. Okay, so just go very carefully on the fine bits, like up here where the crown is, because obviously you don't want to snap that off, and then you'll be good to paint that one. So let's just have a look on the back of our bumblebee. He looks pretty good, but maybe just a couple of little bits there. So like I say, this is purely so the glue has something to key to paper to paper. Now if we were sticking this onto glass, then I'd be using like a silicone type glue, but I know that the PVA is going to be perfect just to stick paper to paper. So first of all, we're just going to go for the laurel wreath. Okay, so again, just position them where you want them. I'm just bearing in mind that I'm probably going to put some string through the hole there, so I don't want to go too high up with my elements. So let's have a look. Okay, that looks about central to me. Okay, so I'm going to go for the bumblebee first. We're going to stick him into position, so it's the centre element, then we're going to work either side of that. So a little bit of PVA glue, you won't need much. Okay, and then we're just going to pop him into position, which is about there. We want him near enough in the centre. Okay, and we want him fairly straight, and then just pop your fingers down on him just for a couple of seconds, and then he is going to be stuck down there nice and strong on top of our tag. Now if you've got any glue that has seeped out, now is the time to just go in there, if you're a little bit OCD like I am, and just take those little bit of glue out. Okay, you can use a paintbrush if you should so wish as well, obviously not one of your best ones, just to go in there and get some of that paint. And again, I'm just going to hold that one down for a couple of seconds just to press that and let the glue actually key to the back of the clay element and also the tag as well. So just a couple of seconds just to make sure it has, and you'll see that the glue has seeped through a little bit, so I'm just going to use a brush just to grab it out. Like I say, not one of my best brushes, so just take that glue out. Okay, I don't want to put a knife down there because I'd probably scratch the gilding effect paint, so that's why I'm not using the craft knife in the middle bits, but I can do around the edge. Okay, taken out. A little bit more glue that sits in there. Okay. And then when you're happy, just place that aside and just let everything dry. I can just see a little bit of shininess from the glue there. Okay, maybe in between the legs. Okay, so there is our little tag all done. I'm going to add some rustic string in that before I actually attach it to the large tag, but that is the small element done.
So you can see, and here are the small elements, and believe me, you know, if you were to try to put that clay inside the mould and not put it in the freezer, you're going to be pretty hard pushed to actually get these tiny elements out of the mould. But as you can see, all of, let me just hold up to the camera a little bit more, all of the amazing detail you get. Now I know that Kath actually uses the freezer technique as well as myself, and like me, you know, she can't fault it at all. So I always say, if it works, then keep using that technique. Here's the next part of the video.
So before I mix my dark brown colour up, I'm going to apply the work for the stencil. This is the stencil that I'm going to be using. This is one from a company called iCraft. It really fits nicely with this sort of theme, and the medium that I'm going to be putting through it is these ones here, which are the icing pastes from Prima stroke Finnabair. So I'm going to be using two colours. One of them is this one here that is called, let me just have a look, the rose gold. And then this one here is called the white gold. I'm going to sort of like do a little bit of a blend between those two colours. So I'm just going to position my stencil over the top here. Okay, so it's about there. I said earlier, you know, we've got to be quite mindful. This is the, like the centre point just there. So I don't really want to go too far beyond that point. So I'm just going to pop that into position so it doesn't move. I'm just going to use a little bit of masking tape. Okay. And just make sure you detack the masking tape, because you don't want to take any of the rice paper surface off. So just make sure that's going to come away quite easily. So just square that up however you want it. So I just want the design so it's slightly coming off there. So really detack that and just press that down there, and then on this side as well. Okay. So like I said, just make sure it's detacked. Okay, then we're going to open up these two pots of the icing paste, have them both open at the same time, because you're going to be wanting to blend both them in. And look how gorgeous, woohoo, how gorgeous those colours are. So that's the rose gold, and this is the white gold. So let me just take that off. I keep the seals on just so they don't dry up. But you can see again, beautiful, beautiful colours, woohoo. Okay, right, so we have all that in position. Now we're just going to apply a little bit of both, okay, onto here. Like I say, we do want to bear in mind that we don't want to come too far over this way, because we want to stick those clay elements on. So I'm just going to go for a little bit of the rose gold to start with, okay, and you can be totally random where you're going with this, okay, you don't have to, hasn't got to be spot on, okay. So we can go right to the edge if we should so wish. Okay, it doesn't matter if it goes underneath the stencil too much either. Okay, we're not looking for like a real perfect finish. So we want to go fairly to the edge. Okay, so just go in there. Make sure the bottom of your palette knife is nice and clean. That's a really important thing, because you know that's going to give you the best type of finish that you can possibly get. Okay, let's just go there. Again, just have a look. There's our centre hole just up here, so we haven't gone too far over this way. Okay, and then once you're happy with that, I'm just applying a little bit more. Okay, and maybe possibly up there. Okay, we've got one colour, so we're going to make sure that our palette knife is nice and clean. And then we're just going to grab some of the gold, again a little bit of the gold, and then we're just going to drag that, okay, just through some of those areas on our stencil. So it's like blending the two colours in together. I think it gives a really pretty finish. Really unique colour that you're actually getting there. Okay, so let's just go over there. And we're not going over the whole stencil. Okay, so we want it, like I say, to have that sort of like distressed look. So once you're happy with that, okay, just take this piece of tape off on the one side to start with, and then take the other piece off, making sure not to move the stencil, and then keeping your fingers on this side here, you're just going to quickly lift that up, almost as though you're taking a plaster off a child. Okay, so it's like that. There we go. And there is the beautiful finish that we've got from that stencil. So just pop that aside for the moment, let that one dry. In the meantime, make sure that you clean your stencil really quickly after, because this stuff, once it sets on your stencil, there's no getting it off. Now, because my stencil wasn't quite big enough to go all the way up to the top here, and I do want some detail up here as well, I'm just going to dry the icing pastes, and then I'm going to add a little bit more of the stencil work just to the very top area. Right, so before I add that top area, I'm just going to add in our clay elements, just to make sure everything is still going to fit on there nicely, which it looks as though it will. Okay, so that's going to like come round, and then that's going to sit in there, so you can see, yeah, we did that about right. So if you want, you can go a little bit further in with your stencil, but I'm going to leave that as is, just so it gives us a little bit of space for manoeuvrability of other elements. But I'm just going to indeed add that bit up there. So taking away the clay elements, we're just going to pop back in that stencil. This is a step and repeating stencil. So obviously not all stencils are going to do that, so I'm just going to match that one up the best I can, which is about there. Okay, and then I'm going to just stick that down again using a little bit of masking tape. Okay, just de-tack it. So a little bit on there, and then a little bit on the bottom. Okay, so again, open up both pots. You know, when I'm not using them, then I close them up straight away so they don't dry out. So just take those off, and then we're just going to go back in, whoops, with the rose gold just there. Okay, we're going to go over to there, go right up into that corner, like so. Okay, and then scrape all that off. Just make sure your palette knife is clean before it goes into your gold. And again, I'm just going to drag the two colours so they combine really nicely. And just give us that beautiful finish. Okay, so again, carefully just hold everything in position when you remove stencil, and then just placing your fingers down here, and then as like a plaster, just quickly take that off. Again, clean that stencil as quickly as you can. And you can see, there we go, I've just extended the pattern there of this particular stencil.
So you can see the beautiful pastes. These are indeed Finnabair's pastes. So these are called icing pastes. They come in loads and loads of different colours. This is one of the ones that I actually used in the last section of the video there. And we've also got the white gold, another beautiful colour. We've also got this one here, which is like a really nice green. It's sort of like a mint green. I don't know what it's actually called. Let's have a look. This one is called Lucky Emerald. There we go. That's another beautiful colour. And this is another one of my favourites as well. Whoa, look at that. This one is called Red Amber. So they are really beautiful colours. And, you know, you just seriously cannot go wrong. They work really nicely on or through stencils. You can just apply them directly. You can do the skinning technique where you can apply them to the back of molds. So many things you can do with these. Seriously, you cannot go wrong. Right, so now it's the next step of the tag. So once all of this is dry, all the stencil work using the icing paste, what we're going to want to do is mix up a brown. Now the sort of brown I want is sort of like this sort of like colour just here, so possibly a little bit darker. So I'm just using some acrylic paint. Okay, mix yourself up a fair bit. Okay, and then just pop some black in there as well. Okay, not too much black to start with. And then I'm just going to use a brush to mix all of that in. Okay, just so I can get a rough idea of the sort of colour that we're after, whether we want to add any more black into that, which at the moment we definitely do. Okay, so we're also going to add some more brown into there as well, because I just want to make sure it's going to go all the way round, okay, our tag. So a little bit more of the brown and then a little bit more of the black. Like I said, just add the black just a tad at a time. You can always add the colour, you can't take it away. So let's have a look, see if that's a slightly darker brown. Okay, so that's the sort of, like I say, the colour that I'm looking for. But just make sure that you've really mixed that thoroughly. Okay, so there's no lighter colour brown underneath there. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm just going to add a little bit more black to that. Okay, again, just a little tad at a time. Just give that a mix in. Okay, until I'm happy with that. So let's have a look. Do you know what? I'm probably going to go with that, I think. Yep. Okay. So I'm just using a sponge brush here. So we're just going to go onto there, dab the sponge brush in there, and then just start to apply the colour all the way around the outside of your tag. Okay, so the sponge brush does give that nice sort of like distressed look. Okay, and then just dab the brush off just so you get that nice sort of like graduated look. Okay, so you don't want to load the sponge up too much and have a really hard line, so you just want that nice finish on it. Okay, so just going to go quite dark with the colour to start with, and then go back over the edge of it just to tone it down a little bit and that graduated effect. Okay, so there we go, just keep on dabbing. And what I tend to do, I also turn the brush as well, just so you don't get any sort of like what I call repeating patterns, if there are any actually in the foam brush itself. So just go back into there, twist that round, okay, and then just go up this long side as well. Okay, so we want to come in roughly the same sort of distance we have all the way round, so it's fairly even. So we're going over some of that icing paste that we put down earlier, and then I'm just going to keep on going around all the sides, and then we're going to come back and we're then going to sort of like feather the effect in a little bit more. Okay, so we've now got a fairly even sort of like border around there. Now just go in with your paintbrush, and this is just really just a finishing touch, but just make sure that you've also got the colour all the way around the edge of your tag as well. Okay, not crucial, but I just love to have that finishing touch on there.
Okay, so just go all the way around. If you want, you can also paint the back of the tag as well, entirely up to you. But if this is going to be hung on a wall, you're definitely going to see those side elements to the tag. So it's just a beautiful little finishing touch to the tag. So I'm just going to go all the way around with that. So now I've gone around all of the side parts. I'm just going to pop a reel of tape there, so it just raises everything up, and I'm just going to go in with my foam brush now. I'm just going to keep on going just to add that sort of like feathered look of the colour just into the tag. So you'll need to build this up gradually, so just take your time when you do that, and then that's just going to, like I say, blend sort of like the colour into the rice paper, just so it's more gradual, so there's not sort of like a real solid line. But this is where having your tag in this instance actually raised up from the work surface, it's just, I find it easier to dab and then twist it. Okay, and also you're not applying any paint to your actual work surface either, so it's going to be a quicker clean up as well, so we all like that. So just keep on going around there, so just keep on dabbing the colour in. Okay, just keep on going back and forth, just building it all up. Okay, so just going to go down. So you can see quite quickly just softening those edges. Okay, that's a sort of like the look we're going to want. Okay, so when you're done there, just make sure that everything is dry before you go on to the next stage.
Now, I really appreciate that some people have joined us throughout the live stream. Although I say live stream, you know, it is pre-recorded, and I hope you can all appreciate why it's pre-recorded, because there's so many different drying stages and cleaning stages. If I was to actually do this live, believe me, we'd probably be here until gone midnight. So I'm saving you all that. But here is the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/c/mixed media arts and crafts. That's where I'm going to upload all of the Facebook lives that I do, so they're easier to view, because I know that on Facebook sometimes it's a little bit difficult to go and re-find the videos. Anyway, enough of me waffling live. Let's just listen to me waffle pre-record style. So here's the next part of making that tag. Okay, so next what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the icing paste again. I'm going to use the white gold, but I'm going to use it in a slightly different way. So I'm just going to take some out. Okay, so let's just get a little bit of space. I'm just going to plonk it there on our board, just wipe off some of that, pop the lid back on for the moment. And then we're going to add some water to that mix. Okay, so we're just watering that icing paste down. Okay, and once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to get my large brush, which is this one here. Okay, and we're just going to add a little bit of detail. Okay, just a couple of little splashes, some paint flicks onto there. Okay, so again, it's just about distressing the overall look of our tag, and also it's going to add a little bit of sparkle to some of those darker areas as well. So just go all the way down, just add a little bit more water to that mix. Okay, so just into there, and then just knock the brush to give you those paint splatters. Okay, so just going all the way around, and you can see now we've got some nice sparkle going on as well. So I'm just going to dry that, and then we'll come back and I'll actually start to stick the extra decorations, those clay elements and the flower and the tag, see how it's
all going to come together. So we're going to stick these elements on using a little bit of silicone type glue. Now I want these ones so they're sort of like at the same angle, so I'm just going to use a ruler to ensure that I do that. Okay, so let's just push those in a little bit, probably to about there. Okay, I've got my ruler there, so I know they're sort of like lining up nicely. I think I'm probably gonna, let's see, put that in a moment. So just taking one off at a time, just make sure I've got my ruler nice and straight on there. I just want it to be all nicely lined up, and then I'm just going to move these down just a tad. Okay, move that one down as well, and then we can get gluing. So like I say, we're going to be using a silicone type glue because we varnished the rice paper on. A PVA glue isn't really going to work that well, and we don't want these to come off. They're going to be a permanent fix. So just one element at a time. So I'm just going to pop that on there. So this part of the design just here rests up against the ruler, and then we're just going to press that down so it sticks, keeping the ruler in position. We're just going to take out the top part, and again we're just going to use the silicone glue just to go in there, and then we're going to place that down as well. Don't go too far to the actual edge, because then you've got more of a tendency of the glue actually spilling out when you just press it down to the surface. So don't go right to the edge in this instance. So we're just going to pop that over there. I'm just going to use a craft knife so I can see a little bit of glue just there. So again, what we want to do is pop it so this part up here is touching the ruler. Okay, there we go. And there we go, just press that one down. Okay, and then you can just take a look. If there is any glue, then just grab some kitchen cloth, or if you have got a tool that's like this is really good, this little metal spatula. Okay, so we're just going to take some of that glue off. I'm just going to pop this one into position. Okay, again just using the silicone type glue just to go in there and do that. So basically where we have this nice shape, that's going to sit within that, not quite touching the other moulded elements. So just position that in there. Okay, just make sure it is upright, the actual key element or the keyhole. Okay, we're good to go there.
Right, that caught me unawares there. I was reading comments. Right, so that is my YouTube channel, and Stacey actually reminded me, because you know what, I'm absolutely dreadful where it comes to reminding people. Please can you also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like my work and obviously my tutorials, etc. And there are loads of tutorials actually on my website. So if you go on to Mixed Media Arts and Crafts on YouTube, like I say, there are loads and loads of different videos that you can choose from. There's just so many that I'm sort of like getting round to doing. Then we've also got a premiere of this particular project coming up. I think it's sometime on Friday about 7 o'clock. That's being shown on YouTube, so that's a premiere. But there's all the ones on making roses, decorating other bits and bobs. You know, I'm sure you'll have fun, or well, maybe it'll put you to sleep, I don't know. But like I say, that's the reason why this particular Facebook Live is a pre-record, because I knew there'd be no way I'd be able to fit it all in. Right, so now we are on to the very last part of the tag, and then I'll be showing you after that a third tag that I've been working on this past week. So hope you enjoy this very last part on how I made that tag.
I just want this side here. Okay, And then we're just going to tuck that back in there. Like so. So just want it slightly up from the bottom, and then just really press that one down. As before, if you've got any glue that overspills and you're like me, then just use a little spatula or something just to remove the glue. Okay, like so. Maybe a little bit of kitchen cloth as well is going to help it. Okay. Just pull that down just a tad. There we go. Okay. So there is our tag just about done. So we've got the beautiful the icing there, paste from Prima. Got all the elements. Now's the time, because you've got that wiggle time. It's just to look at everything, make sure everything is exactly as you want it. And then we're just going to pop this rose back on there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with, actually, funny enough, how the leaves are on that anyway. So I'm not really going to bother to position those, I don't think, any differently. I'm pretty happy. I'm just going to turn it so you can actually see the greenery. So that's working rather nice. I'm just going to pull that down a little bit so that one goes in there. Probably the best gluing part is this bit here where the stem is actually quite thick. So I'm just going to go onto that, okay, with a little bit of the glue, and we're just going to stick that one down, so like so. Then I'm just going to go in with my metal spatula again. I'm going to do this in a couple of stages, okay, so not to ruin it. So that is our first gluing spot just there. Okay, let's make sure there's enough glue to actually hold that in position. And then we've got another gluing point up here, that is that leaf. Okay, so again, we're just going to take that off, and we're just going to add a little bit of glue there. Use the tool just to bend the glue back round on itself, like so. Okay, and then position that one there. So do this in stages, because you will need to actually make sure the glue has set before you go on to the next part, if that makes sense. So this is what the drying stage looks like. What I tend to do after I put the silicone glue on and I want certain areas to actually set, I just put items on top of them just to weigh them down, probably for about half an hour. That's normally long enough, and then you can take them all off like I'm about to now, and then all of your elements should be glued into position. So let me just bring a bit of life back to our little rose. There we go. And that's all of the elements actually glued down. So there is our finished tag. What I'm going to add is just some string that I've actually plaited. I'm going to pop that through the hole there. And then also I'm thinking about putting some glossy accents just on a couple of the leaves, so it looks like dewdrops in the morning. So I'm going to see if we can pop this string through to start with. So next part comes the glossy accent to a couple of the leaves. We're going to go for this one here. So let's just add a little drop. Okay, let's just take that a little bit out there. So I'm just going to add quite a large drop just there. And it's great, the glossy accents, because it formed its own little dome. So just a couple of small ones there. Okay, that's all of the glossy accents now added. Those little dots there, those little dewdrops. At the moment they're white, but they will dry clear. So once they've dried clear, then I'll show the tag in its finished state.
And indeed, this is the tag in its finished state. I really do appreciate you all hanging around for what is an hour and nearly a quarter. But yes, this is the sort of thing that you can be doing, and I do mean easily. Okay, a lot of people, I've seen some really humbling comments that are coming through. Seriously, I don't consider myself as being talented at all. What I really love to do is to help inspire people, encourage them, and just say to them, have a play. Seriously, you can't go wrong, without a doubt. Okay, right, so this is that particular tag, and you can see those glossy accents there. They just do add that little bit of detail to that flower. But I also said that I made another tag, which is this one here. So what I've actually done here, I've gone, this is Mahusif. Okay, so I'm going to have to scan out here with my camera, but you can see I've got a beautiful yellow rose on this one that I've dusted with some colouring. Like I said, the colouring I normally use is Distress Oxides. Okay, so you can do that. I've also added some other embellishments. Remember, the Prima molds are available now from the FMM website, so please head over to there. £17.50 most of them, a really fantastic price. So in this particular project, you know, I've got loads of elements, and I've gone for a crackled finish in the background there, but you can see the difference there. There you go, that's all three together. So that's the sort of thing you can be doing. And seriously, guys, you know, you can do this without a doubt. Now, if you're really interested, and I'm still trying to get these up and running, you may be interested in this. So like I said, I'm really hoping that we're going to be getting some workshops up and running soon. There's lots of questions I've got to answer. I will do those in a minute. Now, could I just see if there's a thumbs up for the type of video that I've done today? So basically, I haven't done it live, and I think you can all realise why I didn't do it live. A lot of people say, oh, he probably can't craft, he's got somebody else to do it. But seriously, it's just the way I wanted to do it was to enable us to get an entire project done from start to finish, and to have a pristine, well, I say pristine result, but I'm sure you'll understand what I mean. You know, a finished result that everyone can be proud of. So that's what I wanted to do. Now, moving that one aside, I have actually done this. This is a coffee jar. Okay, again, I have actually pre-recorded all of this, but I'm just asking the question, do people mind it not being actually totally live, you know, the actual demonstration pre-recorded? I'd just like to see people's comments on that. Like I say, I think it worked pretty well, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say as well. So this is a jar I've done. Like I say, I've already done all the video work for it, but this is the sort of thing that I've actually done. I've used embossing folders with the FMM air drying clay, some plaster paste, and obviously a rice paper. Right, so let's have a look. I know the pressure some are under to complete projects with drying time within an hour. It's stressful for some, I think. Yeah, do you know what? It absolutely is stressful. And when things sort of like go a little bit pear-shaped, should we say, then, you know, that's not a good thing to pass on. But doing it in a staged area like I've done this evening, I think it works rather nicely. So yeah, I think we're getting the opinion that yes, people would like to see that. So that is absolutely fantastic. So I'll get re-editing this. Now the videos that you've already seen this evening, okay, making this one here, okay, they were actually edited. There's actually slightly more content that I've knocked out, okay, but like I say, you can go and have a look at that on my YouTube channel. So again, if you liked the video this evening, then please go ahead and do this for us. Thank you. Whew, I'm finally back. Right, I'm going to take my glasses off. I'm just going to have a quick read at some of the comments that we actually have. Let's have a look. I did see Ian said that I've made him into some sort of monster because I inspired him a long time ago with moulds. Ian, I take no responsibility whatsoever. Right, so Stacey, exactly. She says, let's have a look. I know the pressure. Yep. So Julie says, I don't mind it being pre-recorded. Thanks very much, Julie, for that. Louise, thank you for sharing these tags. Absolute pleasure. I hope it's inspired you, Louisa. Tina says, could you perhaps do the finishing touches live? It really does depend on the project, I'll be totally honest with you. But if you've got any questions, then just put them in the comments below. Okay, so that was Tina. Ian says not at all, so that's great. I'm ready. I have jars waiting to be dressed. Well, that is quite a long project. That could be like a 2-nighter one, that one, so just do bear with me. I think it's a great idea. You've got through a lot. Thank you so much, Julie. Laura says, you believed in me and I'm crafting and always inspirational and so helpful. Laura, you are so kind. Thank you very much. Stacey says, I think it is a great way to do a live. As you said, it takes too long, but then you will have time to reply. But to us, if we have any questions for you. So yeah, I think it's good works. That's great. Thank you very much. Louisa says, whatever you feel comfortable with. You know what, I could do anything, but I really do like to get a full project done properly. So let's have a look. We've got Joan. Think it works. We see all the stages of putting together, and although and we can ask questions, you absolutely can. Margaret, hi there, Margaret. Margaret says, thought it was fab, Anthony. Always so clear with your demos. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. I have been doing this for 15 years. So it's sort of like I say it's fairly easy, but believe me, I have a very controlled atmosphere within here. I have 2 cameras, I have a computer, I have all the graphics, I have the green screen behind me. There's a lot to contend with and also to do demonstrating. So although I can do it, tonight was slightly more relaxed. So Stacey says, great, loved it. Julie, thanks for live pre-record fab demo. Blanche says, great demo. All your projects look amazing. Thank you so much, Blanche. Tuna says, I've done a couple of coffee jars with mulberry paper. Yeah, mulberry paper is absolutely fantastic. I think it worked perfectly, says Claire. Don't feel anything was taken away from the live, as there is still interaction with you. Let's have a look. The live is interaction with you and all. I was wondering how long you had been crafting myself earlier. Right, I can sort of like tell you that. Dare I say, I'm the big 5-0 next year. Okay, so I've been crafting since I was probably about 8. And it all started when I was cutting lots of bits of paper, stuffed them in a drawer, and my mum always used to say to me, what on earth are you going to use all those bits of paper for? And I used to stick them together. Then when people say professional crafting, now professional crafting to me only means that you get paid for doing the crafting. It doesn't make you any better than anyone else. So since I've become a professional crafter, that's about 15 years, and that dates back to when my first son was born. He's just over 14 years old. So that's when I first started on Create and Craft way back. So there we go. I think I've answered all the questions. I really do appreciate you all for watching. Hope I didn't put too many of you to sleep. Please check out my YouTube channel. Let's just bring up the information for that. I've got to look over there, so that's where the screen is. So it's youtube.com/c/mixed media arts and crafts. And while you're there, please take a look at all of the videos. Watch them at your own leisure. You can even mute me if you wish, but they're all there for everyone to see. So I think that just about wraps it up for this evening. A really big thank you for all of you for watching, bearing with us throughout all of those elements of the video. I'll be working on another demonstration real soon. Like I say, the jar, I'd say it could be over a 2-nighter one though, but there we go, because that was rather a long project. So just a youngster, yeah, if only I was. I want to be 21 again. Does it go that way? Possibly not. Anyway, like I say, I'm just checking over there. Let's have a look. We want that one there. Okay, so I'm just going to bid you all a very good night. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting. If you've got any questions, please feel free to pop it in the comments, and without a doubt I will always answer. Happy crafting. Have a great weekend. Let's hope sunshine does come out for us, and I'll see you all again real soon. And remember, if you're going to go to the FMM website, have a look for the bright and light clay. That's the one I used in the demonstration tonight. And remember, pop in that code ANT10 at the checkout point. You will get yourself 10% discount off your shopping basket. That's it. I think I am finally done. Whew, I can go and breathe now. Have a great evening and a lovely weekend. See you real soon. Thank you.